Hi everyone, welcome to my podcast, Bring It On. It's Dom. I'm just coming back now, about 5 days that we've been back home after our road trip, the Halloweenhauntedtour 2015, me and my teammates and brother and sister, Steve and MJ, and it was a trip of a lifetime. We really had a great time. And for those who follow me on Twitter and Facebook, well, actually, you've been able to see parts of our road trip because there's some stuff that we have kept, not secret, but we're working on doing something out of it. Steve is working very hard on making a documentary out of it, and we did a lot of very cool investigations and urban exploring a lot of things and meeting good friends. Kathleen and. In Gettysburg, and a lot of good people, that we met on our way, even a school class, in Mountsville, West Virginia. It was pretty cool, we, my good friend Daniel in Gettysburg, and, sadly we were not able to meet Glenn and Susan, but, they were with us, in our hearts, my brother, Glenn, love you, brother, you're the best, and Susan, same thing, love you both, and I know it's just a matter of time before we can hook up again and investigate together, because we're family, this Off the Beaten Path assembled. It's not the same without you guys, so it was a good time, it's always hard, getting back home after a road trip like that, because you feel... the adrenaline keeps you awake and keeps you so much energized and so much on your toes when you're doing those kind of road trips. And I'm the one driving, and I have to keep my energy level up. And it's very easy when you have a Sasquatch riding, shotgun in the backseat of MJ sitting beside me, because it's always good times, when... For those who think that I'm the one talking 90% of the time, well, you're wrong. Those two dudes are really talkative. And for a Sasquatch, he can talk a lot. And MJ, I think she talks as much as me or maybe more, and that's incredible. That's a lot of talking. But it's important to, first of all, stay awake and not fall asleep driving. And it's long road trips because, we're all the way from Canada, and we go sometimes, West Virginia is like 20 hours nonstop driving, and you have 5 days to do 7 different places. And sometimes you're like, oh my God, if we jam somewhere in a traffic jam or something, there's just going to be enough time to sleep tonight. So that's the price to pay to do what we do. But nobody plans a road trip but me. So I have no one to blame. There's no time to sleep, but that's okay, because we're never tired doing it. It's always coming back. That's hard because you get the paranormal. I love my good friend Mark Arvilla's show, Paranormal Hangover, because that's what it is. For 5 days you do what you were born to do and what you love, and then you get back home, and you got to go back to work and do the daily routine, which is not easy. But fortunately, I can go back and review some of the investigations that we did. Still so much stuff to look back on a lot of cell phones that I had with me, to download everything and try to film everything. I actually even have some footage of me, singing in the car with MJ. Oh my goodness. I can hear her laughing right now when she listens to the podcast because, remember, we're driving from Trans-Allegheny in West Virginia. We're going to Harrisburg to sleep. That was the last day of the road trip, the last day before going back home. And I'm in the car. Steve is in the back seat, working on the videos already with his, headphones. So he's not hearing us. So we just stopped the music, and I got that rhythm in my head. And I just start singing about stupid stuff. And MJ just starts filming me. And, totally ad-libbing, totally unscripted, rated R version of what we do, which was very funny. One of these days, maybe I'm going to post it when because I'm just scared that people are going to be like, oh my God, this dude is crazy. But it was such a good time. And, the old thing during this road trip, one night I went to Sachs Bridge in Gettysburg, and it was full moon. And I was with Kathleen, and we were going to Sachs Bridge. So we got lost in the middle of nowhere. And we had to do U-turn, in the middle of a small winding road in backcountry of Gettysburg. And we finally found Sachs Bridge, but I came from the other way instead of coming the way I'm used to coming. So I'm actually parked right in front of the hospital that I'm looking for. So we keep on walking and walking. And then I'm like, damn, when I was here with Glenn and Susan, I don't remember walking this much. It seemed to be very close to the bridge itself. So I'm like, where the hell am I? So we got lost and middle of the woods there. And we see that thing hovering on top of us and soon realized it was a plane. But at first, it really looked weird because, the way the lights were in the sky, it looked like a UFO. That was pretty cool. So I started joking around that I was abducted by aliens and a man's got to do what a man's got to do. So I was lost in the bushes. When I came back about 10 minutes later after getting lost again, I'm with Kathleen. I'm saying, you don't know what happened because I was gone for, I don't know how long, but to me it seemed like 20 years and those Greys abducted me and so it was a good time, and after that, it seemed to be like during the road trip, that recurring theme that, the aliens, kept following us, and that was fun, that's, to keep, there's always something happening in every road trip, something that just stuck with you, and this time around it's going to be those gray aliens. So it was just something that, made it on film. During one of the rated R version of the song that I sang to MJ, which maybe one of these days, if we hashtag on Twitter, please Dom, sing this song. Might post some little parts of it that was very, very funny. Just to show you that we're not, serious all the time, and we're having actually as much fun driving from, investigation to investigation than investigating sometimes because, getting there is half the journey, right? So, and actually, driving through from Moundsville to Weston in the middle of the mountains was actually like, wow, oh my goodness, it's the mountains, right? And, like 180 turns, like very winding road in the mountains. Beautiful part of the country, but dangerous, when you're driving fast as I am. So that was cool, though. I loved West Virginia. I really do. I think people there are very, very cool. It was a very, very cool part of the road trip. And Moundsville, for those who saw the pictures. To me, it's with the Howland Mansion and Bobby Mackey, the third most active place I've ever been. Cut a lot of good stuff, and it was active, and you could feel the energy and the electricity, no pun intended, in the building, and it was awesome. Can't wait to go back and investigate it again. Trans-Allegheny was also very cool location. Didn't catch as much evidence as we wish we could, but maybe, it's not on demand, like I said before, sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't, and you have to accept that, you can't, and I ain't the provoking kind of guy that's going to go like, oh, we've been driving all the way, so please, I'm telling you got answer to me right now. No, that's not how it works. Sometimes they're willing to. I mean, maybe we caught something too, because, I think I heard a few answers on Ghostbox. I haven't been able to review everything yet, but it was not as active as I wish it could have been, but it was still a very cool location. And enjoyed investigating there. Such a beautiful building, being restored. And it looked like a 5-star hotel, in some parts. And other parts it looked like an abandoned asylum. So it's a very cool location also. I would say that if you've never been to Tala or the West Virginia State Hospital or Trans-Allegheny Hospital, there's so many ways to call it, but it's still a very cool location. But Moundsville Penitentiary or West Virginia State Penitentiary, to me, is like on my redo list. I have to go back, and it was active, felt creepy, it felt, I got locked down in one of the cells, and I felt something touch my shoulder. I really felt it, and then I was alone in the cell, and I felt the energy around me. It was overwhelming. I really enjoyed it. I really felt like they were still there. So much violence in that prison, so many deaths, hangings, and being, they were sentenced to death on the electric chair. Old Sparky, they were getting shot, by shotguns by the guards. If they were getting besides the line, in the big alleyway, it was very, very, very creepy place. And I really enjoyed we did a tour before investigation with a man over there that was very, very, very cool, and school class, of children, I think from a city near Moundsville, were there, and they knew, the ghost hunter. So we took a picture of the whole class afterwards. That was very cool. And, everybody there was very, very, very nice. So I really recommend everybody to go to Moundsville. Even if it's a long drive, it's worth it. And going to Gettysburg also was absolutely amazing. Gettysburg, I've said it before, for those who know me, is a game-changing experience. It's what made me the investigator that I am right now. I would say the man that I became. Gettysburg changed me 120%. And so getting there is almost like going back home. And to be able to reinvestigate again with MJ this time around, for the first time with MJ and Steve, the battlefield, the cemetery, the spot where President Lincoln did the Gettysburg Address. And that was very emotional, very cool. Always emotional for me there. I don't know why. I have no idea why it gets to me so much, but it got to me the first time I was there. It's the fourth time I'm there, and every time it gets to me in ways that I really can't quite explain, but it really does. And so I really enjoyed investigating Gettysburg, and can't wait to go back. This is like my home away from home, so I can't wait to go back and investigate with Glenn and Susan. Daniel and Carlo, great investigators that live in Gettysburg. I met Daniel, very happy to see you, brother, a good guy. And also Letchworth Village in New York. That was such an amazing location, and very active also, so I really enjoyed investigating in Letchworth. And when we left Letchworth, we got a text from a friend of ours who were at the Hurricane in Jersey. So we went there, and I was able to talk and have a picture with Michael Rooker from The Walking Dead, Merle Yondu in the movie Guardians of the Galaxy. So a cool guy, and had a blast. And for those who know me, I know I'm a big wrestling fan, and I used to drive W wrestlers around Montreal back in the 80s. And in the 90s, not to make me older than I am, and I saw the Nasty Boys, and they recognized me. I'm like, hey, Dom, 20 years later. So I was able to chit-chat with my good friend, Jerry Sags and Brian Knobs of the Nasty Boys, and keep in touch and do a podcast very soon with them. So that was very cool, very very fun to see them 20 years later and know that they recognized me, and good memories, good old days. And I had a picture of me and Jerry, during one of the parties in one of the rooms with the tag team title belt draped around my shoulders. So it was like, oh my God, so I sent him the picture. And good memories back in the day. I used to drive them from Montreal airport to restaurant, to the hotel, back to the Bell Center. Then after that, back to the hotel, and back to the bar, back to the hotel. And it was fun, to hang out with Dan Hohenhart and Kerry Von Erich back in those days, all those guys. Most of them are gone, and sadly, but to talk, keep their memories alive is something that we can do, even though they're gone. They're never going to be forgotten. And it's, in line with what we do, the paranormal investigation is kind of like exactly the reason why I do it, is to make sure that those that are gone are never, ever going to be forgotten. Because, you live your life, and, the best thing people can do is to remember the good things that you did in your life and try to learn from it. And maybe continuing your legacy. And to me, that's what it's all about, that people can learn from what you did, the good things that you did, and learn from the mistakes that you made also, and make sure not to do them, So to me, meeting those guys, that I've known for a long time ago, and to know that those memories that we created back in the day, are not forgotten. It's a good thing to, it makes me feel very good about, my life has come full circle. I'm back to do something new. And again, what I did before has not been forgotten. So that's pretty cool. To me, feel like I'm blessed right now. This is a good moment of my life. I always said, a lot of people are like reminiscing, the good old days. To me, the good old days, that's what I said to Steve and MJ on the road trip. To me, the good old days are right now. It's not back in the day. To me, the best part of my life is now every day, moving forward. Like we just booked a paranormal investigation in a private home next week, a family in need that really needs help. And I'm going there with my local team, Quebec on the Ground, and we're going to go investigate. And I'll do probably, a tour by myself this week, to interview the family and make sure, know as much as I can about the history of the house. And if the paranormal activity has been something that has been following them, or is it since they bought the house? So is it related to them, just the house, or whatever? And it's a big it's a big puzzle. So just try to piece the puzzle together. And so that's totally different from investigating a place like Moundsville, where you can Google. But I always say, to wherever we investigate, that the reason why we do it is to learn the history from them instead of Google or from eyewitnesses, or sometimes word of mouth that gets distorted so much, that it starts with, oh my God, Dom slipped, fell, and scratched his knee. And by the end of the telephone line, now, I broke my leg. So in history book, oh, I broke my leg. No, I scratched my knee. Big difference. But that's the thing about history. Sometimes it gets sensationalized in a way that people will only remember the big main things, that happened, like a guard was cooked alive, at Moundsville. Never happened, but it makes for good TV, right? So that's why we're there, trying to piece the puzzle together. And it's not about trying to go like, oh, I told you, they're full of... No, it's just to know that, sometimes some things get edited in a way that, oh, you can go back and change the story. But you talk to people who've been there, and you look back and you try to find as much information as you can about a location before you go investigate it. It really helps you when you do the investigation to ask good questions, and sometimes to do follow-up. And sometimes when you don't have any info, it's pretty hard to gauge everything. The best example is the mistake that we did at Moon River when we didn't know anything about James Stark, and we got it clear as day. James, and then shot by doctor, and we didn't make any connections because we just wanted to go blind. So that's been a big fight of mine internally about, should I go blind on investigations, or should I know everything? I think that at least one of the team members has to know as much information as they can, so that you can make the connections. In our case, when I investigate with Steve and MJ, it's MJ most of the time. We has all those little pieces of the puzzle. But when I do private home investigations with my own team, it's either me or Pete or Eric, my teammates. But we need at least one member to get as much information as we can to make sure, that we can quickly, make connections and go like, oh, okay, here we go. That's what he told me about, that name, connection to that name, or to that word, or to that letter, or, that year, or whatever. Because it's it's not a big difference between a detective, trying to solve a murder. We're there, talking to ghosts, and they're not really answering all the time. And sometimes it's on the ghost box, sometimes it's CVPs, and sometimes it's when you feel the same voice coming over. Sometimes you're asking yourself, is it my mind playing tricks on me? Is it just pareidolia? But at the same time, you have to put everything aside and try to connect everything together, connect the dots. And I always say, like this summer when I was not really investigating Fort Mifflin, and I was kind of just walking around and paying my respects to the spirits there that died and fought for us, and I was saying thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you all the time. All I got was my things like, I appreciate it, thank you, and stuff like that. When we do investigate and we're asking more questions and we get direct answers, then to me that's pretty cool, that's very cool. But at the same time, Fort Mifflin, I remember the summer that was awesome, that I appreciate it twice, in the same minute span, from the same voice. When you sweep radio stations so fast and you're saying thank you for the sacrifices that you made, making this nation free, it's because of you that we're here today to get appreciated twice in a row. To me, that's good evidence, and it just makes me want to work harder, try to find new ways to get new answers, different answers, And that's what, motivates me to keep on working hard and doing the best that I can to become the best paranormal investigator that I can be. And like I've said many, many, many times, the day you start thinking you're a big shot and you start thinking that just because you've been to a lot of cool locations that you're better than everybody else, it means absolutely nothing, because it's not where you're going. It's about what you do when you get there. You can investigate, Bobby Mackey, Moundsville, and all those cool locations and still be a piece of trash, and still be the baddest and worst paranormal investigator in the world. And you can do private homes 24/7, 365 and be a very good paranormal investigator. The locations that you go to in no way, shape, or form make you as an investigator. It's who you are as a person, and if you care about what you do, that's what makes a good paranormal investigator. And something else on this road trip that made me very proud is the fact that we didn't bring, beside the ghost box and the key to, basically no equipment. And I said to Steve and MJ, it's a good thing, because it makes us rely on the best tool that we have, which is ourselves. We are the best tool that we can carry around. And I always believed it. To this day, years later, even more so, because you can rely on your equipment to the point where it can distract you from investigating. I remember Ryan Kano saying, between having 20 pieces of equipment and just putting my hand on the wall and listening to the building, putting my hand to the wall and listening to building, give me better evidence and give me better results every time. And I sincerely believe that it was one of the coolest advice that I ever got, because that's one thing that I always do wherever I go. I touch the building. No matter how filthy it is, I don't give a crap. I carry, stuff to wash my hands on my with me all the time, but I'm touching the building. I put my back on the building. I would touch it with my hand, because it gives you a connection. It gives I think that walls can, hold residual energy from people that live there. And that's the reason why buildings still talk. You can have interactive conversation with spirits, but you can also just feel the energy and residual energy that they leave, like an imprint on a house. And I believe that if you touch the walls, if they could talk, if walls could talk, they would tell you a lot. And I really believe that when you touch the building, you're investigating and you really concentrate and really put yourself in the mood. It will tell you more than any K2 hits or any REM pod hits in the world, because you can feel the connection. And then whenever you do your ghost box, your, maybe your EVP session, you're going to have better results because you've already established contact with you and the energy and the spirits, whatever you call it, that are still in the house, that reside in the house, whether it's interactive or just residual or both. It's going to help you. It can't not help you. The worst thing that can happen is that you don't feel anything. And I'm not always feeling something, Trans-Allegheny. I was trying to put myself in a mood. I was touching and everything. I didn't feel anything at all. But at Moundsville, wherever I went, but especially near Old Sparky, it was overwhelming in a spot where people used to talk to their family. With the bulletproof glass. I just put my hand over there and I could feel almost the pain of a man, looking at his wife or kids and not being able to touch them. It must be the hardest thing in the world. And it was very emotional for me at Moundsville, and I think that's one of the reasons why we got a lot of evidence, is that because we already established contact before the investigation in a way. And I think it's very important to have a connection to the spirits before going in a full mode, like interrogation, like, why are you here? When you look at a guy like Steve DeShavy interviewing a witness, or on the show Dead Files, is not straight away going like, what happened? No, he establishes a good, friendly relationship before going full-blown, interrogation. And I think it's the same thing when we do private home investigation, or even if we investigate a prison or Bobby Mackey, Or your battlefield is the same thing. You want to establish the fact who you are, and why you're there. My name is Dom. I'm a paranormal investigator. I'm here to talk to you, to learn history from you that lived through it. If you're still here, it must be because you have a connection to this place. If you're still here years after you're dead, years after you're gone, there's a reason for it. If you feel like you want to be here or you're feeling trapped here, it's a freaking big difference. I always say that makes all the difference in the world to me. If a spirit is there on its own free will, or if it's there because it feels trapped. If it feels trapped, then I'm going to do everything I can to try to explain to that spirit, person, energy, whatever you want to call it, they're free to go, that they can go anywhere, but a place they've suffered or they feel miserable would be a better place, right? But if the spirit is still feeling comfortable and want to be there because this is its home, this is where it feels comfortable, that's a totally different thing. As long as the people living there are not scared or are not, put in a situation where they're not able to live in that house because of that spirit, well, then there's no problem. But then again, maybe try to understand, learn history from them, and you'll be surprised how many interactions you can have by being nice and not. I always say there's a big difference between being nice because you want evidence and being nice because you feel a connection to that spirit and because you really want to help. I feel like in the same way a kid will smell you miles away. You can go like, oh, I love kids. If you don't, they'll smell you miles away and you'll never be able to, I think it's the same thing with spirits. You can try to go like, oh, I'm here because I want to talk to you and I care about you. If you don't, they'll know. They just can't see through you. And I think it's in the same way somebody that's very sensitive will feel it. That's when we were talking, me and MJ. To me, I'm a little bit more naive. Maybe I'm trusting type, sometimes too much. But I think that MJ is very good at it. Very good to sense those that are really full of crap and those that are not. And I think it's the same thing with spirits. They can sense you miles away. And so if you're there for the good reasons, and if you're there to help, if you're there to interact, they will. If they want to. If they don't want to, there's nothing you can do to make them interact with you anyway. So, I don't know why tonight I got into, but that's what I love about doing the podcast is that I'm not the kind of guy, to keep things for myself. I love to share what I think about the paranormal with you guys because I love you guys on Twitter, on Facebook. I love interacting. I love when you comment on my pictures, my videos on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook. And I love when you can send me direct messages on Twitter. And whenever I have time, I will answer to you. That for those that did it in the past, if I can, I will answer as quick as I can. And there's no, I think we're all in the same boat. We have a passion and we love investigating. You don't have to be a paranormal investigator to be interested in what we do. Just asking questions, I would gladly answer. And I do the same thing on my end, with other people. Sometimes I will ask questions and do it on a private message. And on Facebook, the same thing. You can find me at DomGhosthunter. On Twitter at DomGhosthunter. On Facebook, it's DomGhosthunter Paranormal. And, on YouTube, DomGhosthunter. But if you type in DomGhosthunter, you'll find my videos on YouTube. Very easy to find. And the thing I love the most is sharing where I've been, where I'm going, and sharing my passion for the paranormal. To me, it's something, I feel I was born to do it. And I feel very comfortable in doing it and very comfortable in sharing my experiences with you guys. And I feel like there's a big respect thing between my followers, my Facebook friends and me, in that we're all, in the same boat and we're all, going towards the same direction. And we all want to find more about the afterlife and we all want to share our passion, our love for what we do. So I truly am happy and feel blessed to have so many people that I can talk to every day on social media, and very thankful about it. And thank you enough for listening to the podcast tonight. Looking forward for more. I know lately I haven't done as much podcasts. I have been very busy, planning the last road trip. A lot of paranormal investigations lately. But I got a 5 or 6 very cool guests lined up for the podcast coming up in the next few weeks. And I'll keep you all posted on Twitter and Facebook. And, I enjoyed Walking Dead last night. It was awesome. I love Morgan. Great character. And Monday Night Raw tonight. And, so many good things about this world. We can keep on talking for months on end, 24/7. But keep each other posted on Twitter and Facebook. And signing off tonight, Dom. Thank you very much, everybody.